Last night, or this morning, I guess I should say, at 4:41, a truck arrived with 3 men in it. And of course, it woke me up and I was wondering what was going on. Although I haven't confirmed yet, I'm pretty sure that they are workers of the vineyard. The vineyard owner didn't notify me or alert me that there might be workers arriving before sunrise. So I watched them for a while from the darkness of my car. They put on bug spray. They used red lights. They went over to the vines that are, I guess, have just been replaced and are just growing up now. Because there's very few vines on these, I don't know what you call them, the poles and the wires that they grow on. I guess you call them trellises, duh. And they were inspecting the plants in the dark with a red light. You don't see them now. I got out of my car. I let them know that I was there. There was no surprise or curiosity on their part. They were silent. I went into the vineyards building and came back and went back into my car and fell asleep again because I felt fine. It was safe. I don't see them now. They must be working on some of the area of the property. I guess I should catch you up. So it was 51 degrees last night. That's why I'm wearing my hat. I was a little chilly without the hat on, but I was perfectly comfortable in my car. Completely closed up. No air, you know, my window was not down a little bit for air or anything like that. I slept in my Coleman sleeping bag. This fuzzy thing, I think it's good till 30 degrees or something. And the ladies arrived one by one, which was really nice because I would sit down and chat with one, and then a little while later another one would arrive and we'd get introduced to her, and then another one would arrive. So it was really cool how it worked out. We had a really good time, drank some wine, sat around, talked, looked at the spaces to camp on the grounds. My stomach's growling. I offered a campfire. I did load up with a little bit of wood. I have like 3 or 4 bundles here. But it was an early night for most of us because there was travel involved and people were a bit tired. And we might have a campfire this morning because it's chilly. Look at the condensation from my breath. And because I'm on the driver's side, my breath didn't flow over to that portion of the window. There's a view from my car. It's 52 degrees now, and I imagine it's going to warm up rather quickly. The sun just came up over the hill. So, bright sunny day. Blue sky and only a few puffy clouds. This is the vineyard's protection from animals, I guess birds specifically, coming in and eating their crops. And I think every time I walk near the fire pit, which I'm trying to make some coffee this morning on this cute little table right near the house, it goes off. So I think I need to abandon not the coffee, but the location.
This property was originally just farm fields, just like the soybeans that are there and there. It all used to be just corn and soy, and farmed by the family that lives back beyond those trees, and they still live there. And back in 1995, the Kirkpatrick family, or couple, that's a husband and wife, they're both nuclear engineers. They he was a hobby winemaker, and they planted a vineyard out back of their house in York, and said, hey, we think that we can make this a commercial effort. We both have enough income. Let's try and launch our thing. And so they bought this piece of property. They built the building, installed the vineyards. And so you see there behind you, there's some fallow vineyard. And this year, I'm making a harvest of them. I just pulled the Chardonnay off this week, and I'm replanting. And so let's wander. We can go see some new plants and some old plants and some red grapes. These are Cabernet Franc. You can tell that they're red grapes. You can see where some birds have pecked at them, but it's okay. You get bird pecks. You can, even if you throw netting up, like a lot of wineries, they net the entire thing. They'll still get in there. And so it's incredibly labor intensive. And so I've been fortunate that the squawker's been working this year. But last year I started with just the trunks. And to have fruit from a vine, you need year-old primary buds. And so I had the trunks, and then last year I grew these arms here. And from those arms, you get your year-old buds, and then this year, those arms, every couple of inches, they'll put up a shoot, which can carry 1 to 2, sometimes 3 clusters of grapes. You don't want them to carry more than 2 per shoot, because then you're gonna have some uneven ripeness. And so once the berries start to form in about April, you go through and you strip all the leaves around the clusters. That allows lots of airflow, allows sunlight to get in at them. Because we are in Pennsylvania, we do have that stuff that falls from the sky that makes things wet. And so as long as you can mitigate the extra moisture in the growing environment, it's conducive to growing grapes. We also have really good soils for growing grapes. If you notice the soil monolith right when you walk in the front door, it shows the layers of soils that make up these hillsides. And once we get down into the winery, we can talk about the geology, because the retaining walls are made out of the natural fieldstone. My Cabernet Franc trunks. So these will become trunks. This first year it's a trunk, and then late winter, early spring, I'll prune these down and kind of just have the trunk come up and lay over, and then we'll have more shoots coming up, and then that will be my shoots that the following year will start to produce fruit.
And you did it all yourself?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
After a couple days, I had some guys come and follow me because the longest part is you always have a choke point in any manufacturing process.
Right.
And so my choke point was the actual digging of the holes. And so I would get out at 5 or 6 in the morning, start digging a couple hundred holes, and then the guys would come a couple hours later and put the vines in the holes. And so it was kind of nice.
That's great.
Concord grapes, you know, the jelly, the jam, the eating grape grows nowhere else in the world like it does along the shore of Lake Erie, up in the northwest corner of Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's a jam cake.
If there are white grapes and you want to extract just the juice, and you put the whole clusters in a press, a small one that looks like that. Juice. You separate the berries from the stems via the crusher stemmer back there. I'll show it to you. Can't fall through the holes, so they kind of move down and out this chute here, and the stems hit the floor. You shovel them into a composting bin, and the berries fall through the holes and are pushed by another auger out that hole. But you do, you know, once they're in the tank and fermentation starts, those berries start to break down and burst. As the winemaker, you just know the tools that you have, and you know the style that you're working for, and you use them accordingly.
Right.
And so sometimes you'll actually throw your whole clusters in the tank, and kind of they'll step on them or squish them and let them ferment all together. Look at last night, I did that. Put the whole clusters through the machine. One side spits out stems, one side spits out berries. The berries get pumped into that tank, and then it all starts to ferment together. Do the same thing for red wines. And so when I bring the Cabernet Franc in or the Petit Verdot in, I'll destem it, put the whole berries into a tank, and let them ferment for 2 weeks to a month or longer in contact with the skins, the seeds, because that's where you get your color. That's where you get your tannin. Tannin is that stuff that makes your cheeks dry out a little bit. And so, yeah, naturally. Wines can age if you treat them right, because you have all of the things necessary in that liquid to make it age for 20, 30, 40 years. Steel tanks are easy to clean, and during white wine fermentations, you stay nice and cool, because the yeast, they metabolize the sugar and produce alcohol and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, it's like champagne. It likes to leave the solution. And if you have a really turbulent fermentation, with all that carbon dioxide escaping, you also have all the nice delicate aromatics going with it. And so your winery smells really nice, but when you're done fermenting, the wine doesn't smell like that anymore. And so if you keep it nice and cold, the yeast just slowly bubble along, you maintain all of those things in the wine, and it's a way of preserving the aromatics of it. For reds, you want it to get a little bit warmer. We have wooden tanks, impart some flavor. They're made out of oak. And if they're not brand new and they've been used for 3 to 4 years, they don't have any of that flavor anymore. But since they are porous, they allow oxygen to come in and interact with the wine, but at a slow enough rate that it's helping the process. And so these long pieces are called staves, and these are called heads. And then you have the hoops, which hold it all together. Anybody know what this is called?
Opening.
It's called a plug. No, close. This is called a bung, B-U-N-G.
Oh.
And the thing that the bung goes in is the bung hole.
Bunghole. I could have gotten that.
Forest that the trees came from. This is just a general Pennsylvania oak barrel. And then it'll tell you how long it's been toasted. Wine barrels are toasted, not charred, like American whiskey barrels, they're charred. And so this says slow, heavy toast, toasted head.
Oh, wow.
This says light, medium toast, and it doesn't say toasted head, so these heads are naked on the inside. The idea was to use it as a bed and breakfast, a winery.